I'll buy it. I'll buy it. As much as I despise this package, that was probably the most exciting, or overall the best Michigan race in quite some time, in years, I might say. I mean, it felt like a mini restrictor plate race or a mini super speedway race. We knew that Michigan, with this package, you're going to hear the phrase of drafting or trying to create runs and things like that, but this race took on a whole new meaning to super speedway racing. We saw a lot of drafting, a lot of pushing, a lot of runs being made and how you need to get lined up and things like that. But we also saw things like, blocking moves that you expect to see at super speedway races. And we also got team communications and other drivers working together. It was really weird. We still got some stuff to talk about here. It looked like it was going to be, once again, Hendrick Motorsports domination all over again. It started like that with Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson. They started on the front row. Martin Truex Jr. had an eventful start after he made contact with Kyle Busch, who ran into the back of him on the back straightaway. Truex, who started around the top 5, if I'm not mistaken, fell like a rock back to 30th. Also, Kyle Busch fell back some spots after that contact as well. When you're at a track like Michigan, it is extremely aero dependent, especially when you have damage on the left rear corner panel or the right front of your car, like the damages that Kyle Busch and Truex had. You're going to suffer aerodynamically greatly. Now then the competition caution came out, and Denny Hamlin was actually the first to come off of pit road, but he took only fuel. Everyone else took 4 tires. The reason why was because Hamlin at first had radio communication issues between him and his crew chief Chris Gabehart. Gabehart could not hear what Hamlin needed in the car, so they just took fuel only. He did get a good restart, but it didn't take long for Chase Elliott to take the lead on the back straightaway about 1 or 2 laps later. Then after that, we had another caution come out when Joey Gase, who hit the wall extremely hard in turn 2, got a restart. Then it was green all the way, and we saw a nice little 4-car battle with Chase Elliott. You expect to see that. Larson, expect to see that. Hamlin, and then Joey Logano. But then later on in the race, Austin Dillon then comes to life, and he starts moving his way up towards the field, and actually he's now in the mix and moved his way up to 2nd place, even right behind Chase Elliott. He was not able to contend for the lead as Elliott was able to hold off the rest of the field to win stage 1, and Dillon had 2nd place right up until the last second when Kyle Larson stole it away from him on the outside coming to the start finish line to end stage 1. So you had Elliott win stage 1, Larson stage 2. Dillon would finish in 3rd. This is extremely important for him because of stage points. He's in that battle with his teammate Tyler Reddick, and it seemed at first, like if you remember last weekend at Indianapolis, it was Reddick that was winning the stage points while Dillon was lagging behind. At the beginning, or at least at Michigan, it seemed as though that Dillon would be the one that was going to be the contender, getting all those stage points, while Reddick was the one that really struggled. The rest of the top 10, you had Hamlin, Byron, Joey Logano, Matt DiBenedetto, the Busch brothers, Kurt and Kyle, and Brad Keselowski rounds out the top 10. Stage 2, again, continued the same theme near the end of stage 1. Great racing with completely different competitors now. You had Matt DiBenedetto, who challenged for the lead out front in the beginning, 3-wide move on the inside in turn number 1. Then you had little moments like Kurt Busch, who got tapped by DiBenedetto after they got shuffled back a few spots, somehow was able to save it in front of the field. Austin Dillon, another driver, continued to charge and even was able to take the lead at one point during the race and led a couple laps, I believe. And then you had another nice 3-car battle between Larson, Dillon, and Chase Elliott. Dillon then, after using up the right front, started to fall back, and then you had Kyle Busch step up to the plate, and he started to contend the Hendrick teammates. Pit stops would begin with 20 laps to go. Elliott and Larson come onto pit road a couple laps later, but due to lap traffic, Larson is able to get out ahead of Chase Elliott for what would eventually be 3rd place, since Kyle Busch and Christopher Bell, they pitted for just 2 tires while the Hendrick teammates pitted for 4. And then on top of Larson and Elliott battling for 3rd, you then throw Denny Hamlin into the mix, who also started to become a new contender near the second half of the race, and they also had a real good battle. There was a lot of good battles, but I'm going to discuss later on. The type of battles I was seeing kind of annoyed me, but regardless, Kyle Busch wins stage 2, his teammate Christopher Bell in 2nd, Larson 3rd, Elliott 4th, and Denny Hamlin the top 5. You had Austin Dillon in 6th, Keselowski 7th, Reddick in 8th, William Byron 9th, and Matt DiBenedetto rounds out the top 10. And now, I was getting ready to go up and do whatever because I thought, all right, stage 2 is over, quick break. Then all of a sudden, the camera cuts to Austin Dillon's car demolished entering turn 1. And we're thinking, what in the world happened? What the hell happened? The race is under caution. How does a car get demolished that badly under caution? Well, let's take a look at it. Coming to the start-finish line, Dillon is able to side draft Keselowski. Keselowski tries to side draft him back. They both make contact. Austin Dillon gets hooked hard, extremely hard contact to the wall, nearly goes upside down. He was okay. He's able to climb out of the car, like I said, okay. But his day was done, which is not what Austin Dillon needed, especially when he was having such a good day. Maybe not a race-winning day, but he was going to have, I think, a top 5 day. And for sure would have scored some more points to help him get back into the top 16 in the playoffs. But there were some people were saying, okay, Keselowski was driving like an ass. Why did he do that? I don't know. I viewed it as more of a racing incident. I think Keselowski was just trying to side draft back, and things are happening so quickly. I don't think he anticipated Austin Dillon, coming back up. Now, I know Keselowski did go below the white line, but you could also see that Dillon moved up. So it was kind of like Keselowski moved down, Dillon moved up, they made contact. Now, you could say that, Keselowski should have backed off. He should have just let go off of Dillon's right rear, but I think Keselowski was just trying at the last second just to hold him off, try to hold him on to for as long as he can, just to try and get back at him at the start-finish line. And when that incident happened, it literally happened right after they crossed start-finish line, if not barely once they crossed the line when they made contact. I don't think Keselowski had any intent. I don't know if I would put blame on either side. My point of view, Dillon came up, Keselowski, came down, but I don't know. I wouldn't. It was a hard impact. Don't get me wrong, and it was sucked that it happened to Dillon, especially in the situation that he's in. But I view that as more of a racing deal rather than put more blame on one side of the spectrum, but that's my opinion. So stage 3 begins with Kurt Busch and Kyle Larson out on the front row. You did have some drivers that stayed out at the end of the stage that then pitted under caution, so they had to start near mid-pack. William Byron was now a driver that we had not talked about all race long. He's now in the mix, and ironically enough, it was around this time when Chase Elliott started to fall off like a rock, because around that time, we really didn't hear anything from the 9 team, and it was now going to go between the 5 car and the 24 car. And that is where we saw some team communication come into play. So Byron, who was behind Larson was leading, Byron was in second. You then heard Byron's team ask Larson to run a lane lower so that Byron could get some clean air on his nose. And it made it seem as though that Byron, he's not going to contend. He's not going to try and force the issue and pass Larson. He'll stay in line, but asking Larson, hey, do me a favor, give me some clean air, all right, and I'll stay behind you. It was weird. It was really weird. Again, you expect to see that at a super speedway race, not Michigan. And yes, I know with this aero package, it promotes more of a super speedway type feel. We didn't see that last year, or the past 2 years of racing under this low horsepower package at Michigan. We didn't see teamwork take place, at least in this magnitude. And the reason why they were doing that was to try and break the air away. Basically, they were trying to get away from the pack, especially get away from third place driver Kurt Busch, and basically have a race of their own. When 45 laps to go, we have, I think, the final round of pit stops. 41 to go, you had Larson pit. Byron pitted with 45 to go. But when Larson pits 4 laps later, he pits out of fuel. He has no fuel. So everyone's expecting Larson to lose some ground to William Byron. But surprisingly, when the jack drops, Larson's fired up and he lost really virtually no time, or at least no time was lost on that final pit stop. Byron, though, was able to cycle ahead of Larson for what would be the lead after pit stops. Now we got this 4-car battle with 33 laps to go with Byron and Larson, Hamlin, and Kurt Busch. But then Larson, remember, a few laps to go before that final round pit stops, Larson was given instructions by Byron to help Byron. Now Byron's out in front. Guess what? Larson's asking Byron for help. Byron obliges. Byron goes a lane lower, allows Larson to get some clean air. But this time it's a lot more hectic because you don't have Kurt Busch, who had a fast car but wasn't going to be a contender. Now you throw Denny Hamlin in the mix, and Hamlin, he's got a fast car, and he's not going to wait for anybody. He's a Toyota driver. He's not going to help the Chevy teams or try and lay back. No, he's going to go and challenge for the lead. So Larson did say on the radio he's not going to pass him. I didn't really believe that because the way Hamlin was charging, I thought it was a matter of time before Larson had to make a move or had to make a decision that, hey, if I don't pass you, Hamlin's just going to overtake both of us. So again, the way teamwork, the strategy during those final few laps was very interesting to watch. Then I noticed, at least on TV, that there was a dark cloud, or at least a dark area in turns 1 and 2, and I thought I had a feeling maybe we might expect some rain, or at least some type of weather interference, and we did get that with 21 laps ago. Caution comes out for rain. You're probably thinking, okay, why is NASCAR making this deal or making this decision? Because it looked like there was no rain on the radar, but you flash back to what happened a few weeks ago at New Hampshire, where NASCAR was too late to react. I understand them being a bit more conservative, and especially since it's Michigan, it's a lot faster, so you want to be extra careful when dealing with rain, especially at a track like Michigan. So restart comes out. Tyler Reddick made a bold move. He steps up to the plate. Bold move, 4 wide entering turns 3 and 4, takes the position away from Joey Logano, but then slides up in front of him, causes a stack up. Truex gets into Logano, spins him. Bell spins, Josh Berry spins, Ryan Newman also spins and makes contact to bring out the caution. Then with 9 laps to go, you had Byron and Blaney now up front. And entering 1, Hamlin just shoves Blaney so far into 1. Byron goes way up the racetrack, and that allows Blaney to take the lead. He also had a bunch of contact in the middle of the racetrack, like Kevin Harvick, who would hit the wall off of 4. Then 1 lap later, Tyler Reddick and Daniel Suarez made contact, and Reddick actually spun in 3 and 4, but did not bring out the caution. He kept it going. And then we started to see, okay, a setup start to take place. Blaney versus Hendrick. I thought for sure that, and it looked like this was going to take place, that Byron and Larson, Byron was ahead of Larson, they're going to try and set up a pass. They're trying to get a run on the outside, stay hooked up together to get by Blaney. And it looked like they were going to try and do that on the final lap. Byron got a good run off of turn number 4 on the white flag, entering 1. And then coming into turn 3, Byron, I should say, faked Blaney. Blaney entering 1, looked like Byron was also going to enter turn 3 on the inside, but then Byron went up top to try and get the run off of the top lane, off of 4. It was not going to be enough, but barely Byron got him, but Blaney was able to hold him off. Ryan Blaney wins over William Byron by 77 1/1000ths of a second for his second career win of 2021. It's his first season where he has scored multiple wins. It's the 7th consecutive win for Ford at Michigan, and it's Ryan Blaney's 6th career Cup win. Let's take a look now at the unofficial results. They are to the left of your screen. So you got Blaney winning, Byron in 2nd, Larson in 3rd, Kurt Busch 4th, and Denny Hamlin rounds out the top 5. Matt DiBenedetto, really good run for him, finishes in the 6th position. 7th is Kyle Busch, 8th is Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski in 9th, and Mark Jr. rounds out the top 10. Chase Briscoe, 11th place finish. He was also up there in the mix near the closing laps inside the top 5. 12th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 13th, Christopher Bell, Harvick in 14th, Buescher 15th, and then Bowman, Almirola, Eric Jones, Bubba Wallace, Michael McDowell rounds out the top 20. Then you have some notable drivers like Ryan Preece 21st, Suarez 22nd, Custer, Newman, and Haley rounds out the top 25. Josh Berry 26th place after he filled in for Corey LaJoie, who was out due to COVID-19 protocols. Then you had Tyler Reddick, who finished in the 29th position, and then Chastain, who had an engine issue earlier in the race, finishes 35th. And Austin Dillon, after having what I thought, again, a top 5 day, comes home 36th. So now that is the results. Let's take a look at what the playoff grid looks like heading into the final race at Daytona next Saturday. With the fact that we had a repeat winner here at Michigan, that means that Kevin Harvick is locked. His name is now colored in green. He will not have to worry about Daytona. He's locked into the playoffs, which means one spot. 16 or so drivers fighting for one spot. Tyler Reddick holds that spot right now, 25 points ahead of Austin Dillon. He's the only driver. Austin Dillon is the only driver. In fact, Dillon and Reddick are the only 2 drivers that can make the playoffs on points. DiBenedetto, Buescher, Stenhouse, Chastain, Wallace, the rest of those drivers on back, they have to win. Only Reddick and Dillon can win or can make it into the playoffs on points. Everyone else, they have to win, which will make Daytona extremely interesting, especially the fact that Ricky Stenhouse Jr., he's in the race. Oh boy, I am so glad that Jimmy Johnson's retired because I no longer have to worry about these things. I can watch this race without any issues. Alright, before when Jimmy was racing, I was a nervous wreck at Daytona, especially last year. Now I don't have to worry about it anymore, so it's kind of relaxing in a sense. Yeah, overall my thoughts. You've heard it earlier in the race, or earlier in the race review. I enjoyed it. I thought it was the best race from the 550 horsepower package. Best Michigan race in quite some time. It was weird, it was weird. I didn't like the fact that from an eyeballs perspective, this race checked all the marks. Playoff drama, exciting finish, lots of passing. It checked off all the boxes, but obviously if you are a race fan, if you know the ins and outs about racing, I wouldn't blame you if you were left a bit frustrated with the fact that majority of the racing, if you saw or listened to the telemetry data, if you heard the cars, they were blipping the throttle. They would go from maybe 187 to 179 miles an hour. Very little difference in speed. Blip the throttle. Maybe sometimes they don't even let off of the throttle at some points during the race. So from a race fan's perspective, it was kind of annoying in a sense, but obviously from a casual fan's perspective, I won't be surprised if they thought this was a fantastic race. I thought it was a good race as well. Like if I don't pay attention or don't counter in the package and the off throttle time, I would say this was a good race. It was weird seeing the battles and how they were, because it was like a mini plate race. Seeing the runs you had to get, and having to have people behind you to help push you past the driver. But it was, and the fact that when you looked at all the battles throughout the race, like the 4-car battle with Kurt Busch, Larson, Elliott, and those guys, they couldn't really do anything without a run. It's not like they couldn't pass them straight up. They needed to have people behind them, or had the guy ahead of him mess up in order to get by them. They couldn't really pass the driver straight up, especially later into a run, but whatever. We only got a few more races with this package. Hopefully with the next gen, this package is gone. But I am excited. Next week, Daytona week. I am super excited for that. I'm going to be at Daytona with me and a bunch of other NASCAR YouTubers, so I'm looking forward to that trip. And yeah, this is going to be exciting to watch. But what are your thoughts on this race? Did you like it? Did you not? Tell me in the comment section down below. Don't forget, of course, to leave a like and subscribe for more content. But until next time, my name is Jett from MDK. Congratulations to Ryan Blaney, your winner at Michigan.